My goal is to do 3 videos per day on YouTube. Let my schedule organized it for my beloved. So the second reading, which I did before ordering my did today, was to talk about my experience when we did the energy, what we call Kailash trip, the trip to the higher plane with my teacher, which I posted earlier. And now the second one, I did briefly touch on it. I mean, how did I meet my teacher? What was my spiritual journey to it? And how did my clarify was influenced by my teacher? Like, one thing is, whatever experience I have in the inner world, he makes me understand it. And I think that's the key that was missing in my previous teacher. Oh, I hope you guys hear me because I didn't have my recording on. So this video I'm going to record about my clairvoyant experiences and how my spiritual teacher helps me with my inner world experience, my clairsense experiences. I am more clairsense than clairvoyant because I it's like a deeper knowing that I know more when I go into that depth. And my teacher gives me words for those experiences because it's so tough to understand how to interpret them, what we see in the inner world. And afterwards he came and he showed me what it meant like. And that is a very special gift I received because of my teacher, His Holiness Paramahamsa Nithyananda, because now I'm able to vocalize it better. So how did my journey with him begin? How did I recognize him instead? Like, I should say, because there are like so many higher beings we see in the other world, and how do I know exactly who it was? The way I knew him was my friend. She's my college mate. She lives in California. So I was in her place visiting Los Angeles, and I saw his picture, and for some reason I always connected him as though it was her cousin. Like, I didn't realize he was a spiritual teacher because he had the same features like her. So then that's when she introduced him as her teacher. And then she says the reason for the resemblance. I said, oh, I thought it was your cousin. And she says, he did mention at some Akashic record reading that he was also her cousin. So that kind of made sense afterwards. Like, I could also recognize that piece. But afterwards, I think his energy, like, I got more intense messages from him. And then and the way he talks, because I grew up in Tamil Nadu, I could easily connect with him because he spoke and he behaved similarly, and I could second guess what he's going to say. So that made it so easy to follow him. So I found it very friendly, his speeches, so to speak. And it was like very down to earth, and he was very humble in most of his teachings, and he was not afraid to speak his mind. So those are the qualities I really admired in many of my friends. And of course, if it is a spiritual teacher, that was amazing. Then one day, I think I connected with him very intensely. He was starting to work on my patterns. That's what he calls it, patterns or biomemory that holds me back from ascending. And he will do it indirectly via, like, it almost feels like, I think he calls it anchoring the mind. I had that experience first, so I didn't understand what it was. But then afterwards, listening to him after that, only now, like after 2 years later, he says that is how the mind captures the brain. So, like, it's almost like he has given me information, and to process it, it took me 2 years. That's another way to say it. So, but I used to assume like he was doing something or he was like part of that growth for me, which is true. So so he says, once you start feeling like that, it's like almost as I have given you my business card. It's up to you to visit. So kind of like how we do introduction, right? So still, I was not committed to going. Then one day, my family called and they said, like, you need to really look up at the news and you should not like blindly follow him. When I looked at the news, I was very much annoyed at the way that everybody in India is being prosecuted, not just him. But because I was closely connected with him, in my emotions, I felt more called to do something about it. And I decided, I really need to do at least one thing to show that I truly am sorry he had to go through all that. But I didn't know how to do it. And then he called out saying to invite everybody for Sadashivoham 2016. And I was like, saying, okay, I'll just do a weekend visit with him. He was supposed to come to Trinidad. I said, that way it is like a very small commitment I can make. But that canceled. So he ended up doing the workshop in India for 3 weeks. And at that point, he said something. I don't know. This is the way I perceived it. Maybe it is wrong, okay? But the way I heard it was he was turning 40 and it was very significant. And how much of it is my imagination, I have no idea. But the 39 years to transition for a higher being is very significant. And he said, if I don't make that effort, I might not be able to see him. And the way it could be interpreted, I felt two ways. One is like either he's not going to be there or I'm not going to be there. I couldn't tell like which was the truth. And I was thinking, if on with my previous teachers, and they have also said the same way, if you come across a live guru you truly feel connected to, it's very important for you to physically meet them. And one thing also he said, Swami Nithyananda said, that you need to be in my breathing space once in your lifetime, and then that would build that relationship to go further. So I really wanted to honor that, what he said, on my part. And I said, okay, you know what? Now I'll make up my mind to go. Now I need to find an excuse to my family why I'm going. So all that, so once I made up my mind, there was no stopping me. So I went there and I really enjoyed my 3 week stay with Swamiji. He was a phenomenal teacher. The experiences he gave was out of the world. And I'm so glad I met him. Okay, this is the way I connected with him. And he made me understand more, perceive more, ability to tune in better, be more aware, understand 25 states of consciousness, and 11 dimensions of our being, the length, breadth, depth, time, space combination that evolves into 11 dimensions. And of these, I want to be ordained to be like how in Christian faith they call it third order worship, where you dedicate to sainthood and evolve further. I wanted the same thing, and I think that path was called Rishi. Anusuya, she's a Rishi, and how to evolve further. And I asked him for permission. He allowed me to have that. And also, before I left, I wanted to truly ask myself, because he always gives boons, I know. And because I wanted to be in that space where I'll truly give him what he wants, I needed to listen further. And he wanted a home in every town, and he wanted to honor festival of River of Faith, River of Faith as a festival. So I decided to honor both. And so I asked him for Rudradinam. Adinam means home. Rudram is the vibration. And he said internet is its own country. So I asked him for Rudradinam. He said given. So I registered Rudradinam.space, which is the flag that would be hoisted in the internet for him. There is a story that goes that in Mahabharata, there was a big fight between 7 um, lineage of beings and 11 lineage of being. He calls it funnily. That's where the 7-11 started. So the 7 were truthful or on the right, and the 11 were very narcissistic. That's a better way. So when the narcissism, which is based on what is best for their and their dynasty, versus 7, who's based on truth, what is universally good for everybody, the king of that narcissistic, Duryodhana, he goes, and actually one of the brothers of these 7 lineage, they have one brother who is Akashic record reader, like channeler. Okay, he will channel, but his problem was, or rather, I don't know whether it's a problem, but he wouldn't remember what he channeled, what he said afterwards, so he cannot recollect. So Duryodhana goes and asks, I think his name is Sahadev. He says, who would win the war, or how to win the war, I think. So Sahadev says, and by this time his brother knows his ability, and he's overhearing this piece, like almost like, what do they call it? I think like when you put your ear and like here, I don't know what I think for some reason I'm blocking it out. Like it's not exactly like a peeping top, eavesdropping, yeah. So Sahadev says, the person who hoists the flag up on top of the mountain first will win the war. So I decided, you know what? Oh, by the way, Bhima, who is overhearing, he runs to the mountains. He goes way up on top first, and he didn't bring any clothes with him, so he disrobes himself and he hoists the flag up on top, apparently. So when I heard that story, I wanted to be the first one to hoist the internet flag for Swamiji. And because it's a space, not a place, I decided to register Rudradinam.space. So when I went actually to India, that's the boon I asked from him. I said, I want Rudradinam. And he said, yeah, that home is given to you. And then, but I know it is for him. And then I asked for Nitya Kumbh Mela, any body of water I am in, that to be festive. So actually, this is a cool one. So I have a hot tub. So that becomes my Kumbh Mela space. He says that's also granted. But, actually, I believe in ley lines and I believe in energization. I'm sure Swamiji is going to teach me this eventually. And he, in turn, started working with me. That became my project 2017. I completed it. The Rudradinam. Every month, I'll post a meditation. And Rudra, he was amazing. I really loved working with Rudram version. He is so compassionate. And then I have finished that project last year. And then with that, I hope, it's almost like once you finish one portal, another portal opens up. So I opened another portal for my mother spirit, my Lakshmi. Her name is Siddha Lakshmi. Siddha is sweet memories. Siddha Lakshmi, sweet memories. And she's the person who makes fortune into fortunate, mother of abundance. And through her, she delivered me to another level, how through lunar cycle, how to read biorhythm, how to reset the mind, so we will always maintain the ability to have sweet memories. And since then, Swamiji again came back and he said, not only that, I will teach you, or he, not just me, I'm not telling this just me, this is about like many many beings. He said, I will teach you how to retain that space longer and longer. And that's what happened for me last year, the whole year. Slowly, the amount of ability to be in that space of pure bliss kept expanding until, like, now I problem solve quicker. And I know, even if I'm in the wrong, if I make it based on what is right rather than to please people, I'm always ending up in the right space, and my discomfort, my disagreements are getting less and less and less. So it's a beautiful place to hold, like how Swamiji says, it's the intensity plus continuity. So there is like really no ups and downs. It's up and plateau, up, plateau. So it's like really amazing. So that's what I wanted to share as my second video for today. Thank you so much.